Happy Monday, everybody. Today we are talking about an exciting opportunity that could transform your parking lot into a revenue generating asset. It's Logan Freeman and Parker Williams coming to you again. You just saw us on Friday. Make sure, if you're interested in any of our new listings, to head over to our website, www.mwcreadvisors.com. Parker is hitting the market with a storm right now of new opportunities, and this is a really exciting, application where I keep speaking about the fact that if property owners are focused on figuring out the future of their commercial real estate, it has to do with power, it has to do with connectivity. And 3v3i EV fast charging is a fully funded application designed specifically for commercial property owners. We are focused on Kansas and Missouri, but not limited to Kansas and Missouri. And the core idea is pretty simple, okay? You have parking space sitting there. Why not put it to work? DC fast chargers attract customers, they increase your dwell time, and they generate ongoing revenue. And we have a partnership with 3v3i in which this is a turnkey solution. So they handle the funding, the installation, and the ongoing management. So you, as a landowner, benefit from the revenue stream with minimal effort on your end. Whether you own a hotel, a retail center, an office building, mixed use property, this could be a long term income opportunity with zero upfront capital required to fund the infrastructure from you. And so Parker is here to walk you through how this works and answer any questions about whether your property qualifies or not. Parker Williams, good to see you again, my friend. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's good to be back.
Good to be back for sure. And we are hitting the market here in a storm. We've got a lot of momentum here with 3v3i. I see quite a few people here live. So thank you for joining us here live. If you've got questions about 3v3i, EV fast charging, DC chargers, how to monetize your parking, drop them into the chat. We are monitoring that here as well. So Parker, why don't you give everybody a little bit of an idea of what we're going to be covering today about this presentation?
Yeah. So the idea is pretty simple. We're taking parking spaces you already own and just exploring whether or not they can produce a new long-term revenue stream. So we're not asking property owners to become an EV charging operator because 3v3i handles all that. It's just determining whether your property fits a fully funded charging program. Um, So yeah, every site's different, and all revenue figures are based on projections. So that's why it's very big for us to focus on properties that have high visibility, are in good locations, that get a lot of traffic, so we can really utilize these charges we're going to be putting down.
Yeah, most definitely. First, we're going to walk through and look at why EV charging makes sense as a commercial real estate play right now. So we're going to walk through the market fundamentals. Then we're going to introduce 3v3i. Then we're going to dive into how the revenue model works, okay? Specifically the 5 cent per kilowatt hour structure and how your income scales over time. So we'll walk through the financial projections across different site types, whether you're looking at 2 chargers, 4 chargers, or a hotel deployment. And then we're going to cover qualification criteria and walk you through the next steps to see if your property is a fit. Our hope and our goal is by the end that you'll have a clear picture of the opportunity and what it could mean for your bottom line. So I'm going to walk us through the market opportunity. EVs aren't really a trend anymore. They're how a lot of Americans and other people are driving right now. The infrastructure has not caught up with that demand, and that's the opportunity, right? So we have right now around 7.3 million plug-in EVs already on United States roads, okay? Nearly 27% of all new car sales are electrified vehicles. And DC fast charging market is exploding. It's growing from 15.8 billion in revenue to 72.1 billion by 2036, right? 806 new stations were deployed in just one quarter alone. So, what does this mean for you as a property owner, right? EV drivers actively seek out chargers. So, your property becomes a destination, right? They're spending 32 plus minutes on site per charging session. And so, early movers capture the highest utilization as EV adoption continues to ramp up, right? And there's not enough qualifying sites to go around. Okay, so Midwest EV adoption is accelerating. Prices are dropping and more models are available. And I would say that these states, specifically Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Arkansas, Oklahoma, we're behind on the coastal markets on charging infrastructure. And so 3v3i is deploying here right now. So the competition for sites is real. So it's your opportunity to lock in a 10-year agreement today and ride that full utilization curve. Okay, so that window to be an early mover is open right now, but it is not going to stay open indefinitely. Okay, so Parker, talk to us a little bit about who is 3v3i, the operator behind the infrastructure. What do they do?
Yeah, so they design, install, own, and operate all the charging equipment. So they bring the engineering, construction, equipment, and maintenance together under one company. So they handle essentially everything from installing these chargers to operating them and any maintenance that comes with them. So it's pretty stress free for the property owners. And they have a system to where they do it a lot faster than the competition. I think they got one down in what 5 business days, or so they do them quick, and it's really hassle free for the property owner. And yeah,
Absolutely, guys. I mean, they're building the hardware, they're running the network, and they're holding active contracts with leading EV networks across the country, right? This is not a pilot program. This is a mature infrastructure development and a deployment. Caleb Brown is here live saying EV is hard to beat with gas prices and maintenance. You bet, Caleb. Thanks for being here, my friend. You're active in the Kansas City commercial real estate market. So you find a site, you know some landowners that might have a good site for us, brother. You send us a message. That's a good point. We've got a Google form where you can submit your sites. We're going to ask you some questions around site selection criteria, and we'll get into that here shortly, but making it extremely easy for you to submit your sites and get feedback within a week from our team, okay? And so let's just talk about this from the standpoint of what you're signing and what you are not, okay? So we have what's called a site host agreement. It's a 10-year initial term with one 5-year optional renewal. So your obligations are pretty low. Provide the designated parking spaces for the charger installation, maintain the surrounding area, so pavement, lighting access, right, in the same condition as the rest of your parking lot. And you have to notify us if a charger is damaged or malfunctioning. That's it. You do not touch the equipment. You do not manage the network. You do not handle customer service, billing, or software. We're really trying to position this as a passive income license, right? You're not a tenant, you're not an operator. You're a host, you're a host collecting a check. So 3v3i is going to be funding, installing, owning, operating, and maintaining all of this charging equipment at zero cost to you. I will say, if you are a property owner that has a large portfolio and you are interested in owning this infrastructure, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are in direct communications with large property owners and asset managers right now on how to deploy across their whole portfolio and potentially own this infrastructure. It's definitely something that we can do, okay? So 3v3i is making it very simple. We have multiple ways to engage with us, right? All right, so we've got some exit provisions here as well, all documented in the site host agreement that we'd be happy to share with you and talk about that with you as well. All right. So Parker, walk us through the installation impact. What actually happens to the property once a site host agreement is signed and we're moving forward? What can a property owner really expect here?
yeah. So for the typical two chargers, generally talking about 2 or 4 dedicated spaces. Depending on the layout, the active work is just really concentrated in the area where the spaces are going to be. So the rest of the property remains open, so it won't affect the business day to day. And then 3v3i coordinates the electrical connection and installation. and the charger itself has a pretty small physical footprint. So they're not these giant machines that are taking up your whole property, and they're not like a crazy eyesore. So the ownership plan for pavement stripping, EV identification markings, generally estimated a few $100 per space. Placement, cost, and timing all come out of the site evaluation. So nothing is finalized until the property specific plan has been reviewed.
Most definitely. Let me just share this tab so you guys can get an idea of what these look like. Okay, so here's a couple examples of what this looks like actually being deployed. Some of the 3v3i's projects around the country right here. So you can go on to their website, 3v3i.com, check out some of their active projects that they have in Maryland and New Mexico and in Springfield, Illinois, Jacksonville, Florida, Colorado, Bricktown, Oklahoma, all the way out in California. Okay, so there's very limited impact on what you are going to have to provide for this type of application in your property. All right, so the risk and downside protection, right? I mean, we've got really, I think, robust financial modeling, but again, 5 cents per kilowatt hour. If you're a nerd like Parker and myself and want to really review these financial projections, feel free to reach out to us. We have a 10-year model that you can evaluate. But at that level, as we are getting up to our utilization rate, I think the stabilization rate, yes, the national average utilization rate's right around 16, 17%, right? So we're going to be ramping up to 16 or 17% of utilization rate. At this first year, conservative year one projections for a 2-charger site assumes only 5% utilization. So that's roughly 4 charging sessions per day across both chargers combined would generate around $7,800 in year one landlord. Again, your structural protections, you have zero capital at risk here, right? You can audit this. There's no penalty after month 60, right? So you have the opportunity. So the real risk is not necessarily underperformance, it's opportunity cost. Choosing not to evaluate your sites and participate while EV adoption grows 29% year over year and the spaces sit empty, generating zero income, that's the downside, right? So the downside of signing is capped at zero. The downside of not signing is 10 years of missed revenue from asphalt, from parking lot that you already own, all right? So that's really cool because we're creating a new revenue stream for your property that you already own, all right? If you look at this over a 10-year base case revenue projection, it could provide your property $234,000 of cash flow. That's enormous with zero upfront landlord equipment and installation cost. Now, if you do 4 chargers, you have a really high performing site and we identify your site that we can put 4 chargers on, double it, $468,000 over 10 years. Okay, so now if you're a property owner and you're thinking about doing this, you have the optionality. If you've got some vacant space, you got that elbow space that you're having a hard time getting leased out, right? Okay, well, come to us. If your site fits, we have the opportunity to evaluate it and put some DC fast chargers. Again, these are level 3. And we've been getting a lot of questions about these. Level 3 DC fast chargers, okay? You have the opportunity to present to a new buyer, potentially at, when you get this revenue created, up to $26,000 per year, all right? So if you are generating $26,000 per year, you divide that by a 6.5%, 7% cap rate, you start to have the opportunity to really evaluate the actual value that this is generating outside of just the cash flow, right? And so we have those financial projections. Happy to walk you through those as well. There are different models out there where the landlord has to present with the fast charging company upfront cost. And yes, those percent kilowatt hours, you do have more of the revenue, but you also have a lot more risk because you have the money coming out of your pocket for that infrastructure. This is performance-based, usage-driven earnings, not guaranteed rent, okay? Again, these are all illustrative projections based off of national averages as well as what 3v3i is currently seeing across their other deployments in their cities. And we do have another question from Caleb coming up here. Which cities and counties have the highest demand for EV charging stations? It's a great question, Caleb. I really appreciate you bringing that up. And one of the things I'm going to share with you guys is we did a gap analysis. Okay. So, Caleb, let me get your comment off here. We did a gap analysis. Right now, we have about 1,479 total public stations that we could find in Kansas City. We have about 136 DC fast chargers. Tesla Superchargers has 7 sites. EV has 3 sites. Electrify America has 2 sites. And Iona has 1 site over in Blue Springs. So you can see there's some really good gap analysis opportunities here. So we're evaluating Platte County. Wyandotte County, we think, is an absolute home run opportunity for this type of application. South Johnson County is wide open right now. Grandview, South Kansas City has a big gap. And then out in Eastern Independence, Lee Summit, Blue Springs, that area, there are some good charging stations out there at Bass Pro and a few other places, but still need way more out in that area. So you can start to see kind of our opportunity analysis here, Caleb, that allows for you to evaluate some of these sites. But we are not against looking at any location. We are going to evaluate where are the closest DC fast chargers. How are they performing currently? Is there enough demand in the area to put a few more, right? So that's all a part of the site selection criterion that you're going to be going through. So Parker, talk to us a little bit about this ramp period, how the landlord revenue grows with the charger utilization here. I'm going to get this. I'm flipping back and forth here this morning. We're on Monday morning, just rocking and rolling here, but we're good to go. So talk to us a little bit about more of this ramp side of things.
Yeah, so this is the full revenue cycle in 4 steps. Drivers arrive, they use the fast chargers, the equipment meters the energy dispensed, and then the owner receives 5 cents per kilowatt hour. So the model does not assume a brand new site performs like a mature station on day one. It builds in a gradual utilization ramp as more electric vehicles enter the market and drivers become more familiar with the locations where these chargers are being put. That's why the longer term figures are meaningfully higher than the first year's projection, because you kind of people got to know that you have the chargers there. They got to know where to go. And then once you start getting that visibility, your revenue can start really ramping up.
Absolutely. Yeah, great point. Look, guys, we're not going to put these in an industrial, complex that somebody's going to have to drive behind and sit in a dark parking lot, right? A good rule of thumb is if you wouldn't want your mom charging here for 30, 35 minutes, the site probably doesn't work, okay? Gas stations can also be challenging, right? You have limited space available. If you are a Buc-ee's or you're a destination gas station, then absolutely we're open to speaking with you. But we are really looking for high volume retail shopping corridors, grocery anchored shopping centers, hotels are fantastic. Specific office buildings can be really, really good. Okay. And again, we're positioning this as a true turnkey charging infrastructure partner. So the first step is really going through the site feasibility, the evaluation of the access points, the visibility, the parking configuration, traffic demand, and electrical feasibility. That's all on us. All you need to do is go over to our Google form and fill that out. We will get to work on that. The 3v3i will be providing the DC fast chargers, the required charging infrastructure. They have all the operations and maintenance on an ongoing process. They're doing all the engineering and design that you get to approve, obviously. Then working on the permitting and construction, and then we'll do revenue reporting. Similar to if you have regular spots downtown, specific paid parking spots, it's a very similar revenue share in that scenario, right? So here is the projected revenue that is nearly going to triple as the site matures. Okay, so the projected annual revenue increases from $7,000 to $9,000 in year 1, all the way up to $26,000 in year 5 and $28,000 in year 10. Again, we have kind of a base case, a conservative case, and an upside case. We're using our conservative cases here. So we absolutely might be able to generate more revenue for you as a property owner here. But Parker, why don't you walk through everybody what this looks like on a conservative base case and upside case for a 2-charger general commercial opportunity. I think this does a great job illustrating this opportunity for this application here.
Yeah, so revenue base case, we're looking at around $9,461 in year 1. So that's just in the first year, low utilization, still kind of new, but that's still, almost $10,000 in your first year just for taking up a couple parking spaces. And then it grows roughly to about 22,000 in year three, and then reaches about 26,000 in year five, and then approaches 28,400 by year 10. So the growth isn't coming from an increase in the 5 cent rate. It just comes from more charging activity at the site. So I would use these numbers as a planning range rather than a guaranteed forecast, because actual site performance will ultimately drive the results and the revenue you get. So could be a lot higher and
Yep.
then could be a lot lower.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Thinking about this, you have the opportunity to support additional property value, right? So if we get stabilized around that $26,000, annual revenue line item, we're at a 6.5% cap rate, guys. That's over $400,000 of property value that could be driven when you go to sell your property. So that is a massive opportunity for somebody here. And if you double, right, and you go up to a larger property, now we're talking about $468,000 over 10 years if you have four. So year one, you'd be starting around $18,000 in annual revenue. But by year five, that's $52,000, right? And so that's almost close to $1 million of value at your property if you get stabilized and you're in year five, you have four chargers at your property. That is a way to differentiate your property and deliver value to your shareholders, your investors, or yourself, right? The four charger base case produces right around double the revenue of the two charger base case because the modeled capacity doubles. Again, we're going to be very selective on deploying four chargers at one site. Okay, now there's an opportunity. You deploy two and it's going extremely well. Great, fantastic. We're a year in and we're already hitting year 2 or 3 numbers. Deploy a couple more chargers there, right? You have that opportunity to do that, okay? But it's all about right sizing this charging program. So the total charging capacity, this is going to be some limiting factors for properties, right? Is we have to go through and we have to look, does your site have the amount of power that we need, 360 kilowatts? Okay, if you've got four chargers, it's close to a megawatt over here, right? So 720 kilowatts. But two chargers may fit smaller commercial properties. Four chargers, definitely going to have larger, higher traffic locations with sufficient parking access and that electricity feasibility for those properties, okay? Now, one thing that I want you to talk about, Parker, is how hotels may capture a utilization in a premium, man. This is a great opportunity for hotel owners.
Yeah. So the hotel owners, you obviously have the people coming and staying overnight. So you have essentially no reason for them not to be using these chargers if they are at the actual hotel. So as we said, we look for sites that have, something for these people to do. For it takes about 30 minutes for them to charge these electric vehicles. So obviously, if you're staying at a hotel, no reason for you not to be using these electric vehicle chargers. And it also drives demand for those that are traveling and their electric vehicles. They're going to choose to stay at the hotel that has chargers available rather than the hotel that might not.
Absolutely. Well put. The highest value modeled opportunity here. So if you've got a 4-year or a four charger hotel base case financial, I mean, year one annual revenue at 8.5% utilization, because hotels have a higher utilization rate, can generate up to $26,000. Year five, you're close to $60,000 here, right? So hotels are a great opportunity to have these DC fast chargers out. People feel safe at hotels. They'll come and stay. And you know what? They may drive some more occupancy at your hotel as well. So let's disqualify a couple of these things because, not every property is going to qualify. So Parker, walk us through properties that might do a good job qualifying, some that don't, some of our checklists that we've put together here.
Yeah. So not all properties will qualify. So that's, kind of a good thing, because the program works best when the site has strong visibility, easy ingress and egress, extended or 24-hour access. So there's got to be enough parking, feasible electrical infrastructure, nearby demand generators, and limited direct fast charging competition. So that all has to do with location. So the best candidates often include retail centers, hotels, gas stations, mixed use projects, and certain office or industrial with excess parking. So we're really looking for those sites that bring in a lot of population, a lot of people that are just safe in a good area to where people will know where these chargers are. And this property will essentially have another aspect that they're known for to where they can drive all these electric vehicles to their area.
Absolutely. So if you're ready to find out if your property qualifies, all you need to do is head on over to submit your property for evaluation. You're going to see just a simple Google form here. Parker, this should be our most up-to-date form, I believe, here. So you just come here, fill out your information in regards to your site. We ask some questions. If you don't know the answers to all of those questions, that's okay. That's all right. Fill out what you can, and we'll take a look at these different submittals that we've got. We've got a lot of people submitting their sites currently. Momentum is really great right now. We think this is a great opportunity for you to evaluate for your site. So just head over to this, reach out to Parker. You can be fine at Parker at mwcreadvisors.com. But you can reach out to myself as well. I'll get you pointed in the right direction. It's really easy. So you submit your property. We're going to run the evaluation, okay, in tandem with 3v3i. We're going to review the opportunity. We're going to give you feedback very quickly. All right. Now, then we're going to get on a call and we're going to discuss the particulars and the specifications. And it's really as simple as paying a small advisory fee. So for a 2-charger site, it's a $5,000 fee. For a 4-charger site, it's $10,000. Those both have a less than a 1-year payback at 5 cents per kilowatt hour in regards to a utilization rate between 6.5 and 5 and 6.5%, which we absolutely think for the right sites that we're going to be very particular on, is not going to be any problem getting your payback in 1 year on that. So figure out if you've got some sites or you know somebody who might have some sites that would be a good fit. Submit that property for evaluation, and we're going to get that over to you. You can be found, Parker can be found here at Parker at mwcreadvisors.com. You can reach out to myself. I'll get you in touch with Parker as well. We're very excited about this opportunity. I think that as infrastructure, technology, and real estate continue to converge, this is a great way to position your portfolio and figure out how to generate more revenue in a time where it can be somewhat difficult with rising costs on commercial real estate. So Parker, is there any lasting thoughts that you wanted to leave with the audience here today?
Yeah, I would say just this is a cool opportunity and don't miss out because all it takes is submitting your property. It's zero commitment on you, and all we do is review that. And we have a lot of people reaching out, so it's a cool opportunity. So don't miss it.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you have any other commercial real estate needs in Kansas City, MSA area, reach out to us. We're trying to be right there in the intersection between real estate, technology, and infrastructure. There's a lot of cool things happening in regards to this space right now. Happy to discuss that with you and your team. Always can be found over at www.mwcreadvisors.com. You can find all of our listings, our case studies, and reach out for this presentation if you want to learn more about this program and the opportunity to generate more revenue through your parking with very little cost, no infrastructure cost to you. Parker at mwcreadvisors.com. It's been another episode of the Kansas City Commercial Real Estate Market Pulse, joined by your host here, Logan Freeman, and Parker Williams. Thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.